Hey everybody, welcome into another edition of the Edward Jones Chatting Cage. I'm Tim McMaster. Joining us in the cage today is Brandon Kintzler, relief pitcher for the Washington Nationals. Brandon, thank you so much for joining us.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
All right, fans, you know how this works. Get the questions in on Twitter, on social media with the hashtag Chatting Cage. You can use the MLB Fans app or use that webcam. Get in line, ask your own question of Brandon Kintzler. We're going to start on social media, Brandon, and this show wants to know, who's been your baseball mentor throughout your career?
I try to say Eddie Guardado. I've known him for about 20 years, since I was about 10 years old. He was his agent was my travel ball coach, so he's always been around. And I've always just looked up to him. He's got a very fiery, emotional attitude, and he's one of those guys that wasn't the most talented, but ended up pitching a lot of years in the big leagues, so I always try to follow him around.
Yeah, steady. Eddie had so much success in the big leagues, and you mentioned it wasn't that fire-throwing type of guy, but had a ton of success, and what a great guy to get some help from along the way. We have our first fan ready to go. Fan, go ahead, tell us your name, where you're from, and ask your question for Brandon.
I'm Mauricio from Arnold, Maryland, and I was just wondering, how do you like Washington so far?
Washington has been great. A great group of guys. City has been awesome so far. Haven't really got to see much of the city, but as far as driving through the Capitol and everything, the team has embraced me. The fans have embraced me, so it's been an easy transition.
Of course, getting traded over from the Twins to the Nationals during the season. And that brings us right back to social media, Brandon. And Lefty1 wants to know, he says, no one wants to be traded, but just talk about how it goes as far as adjusting to a new team in the middle of the season.
It's definitely hard because I didn't know anyone coming over. You just try to blend in and just follow around, see what everyone else does, and go about your business. There's definitely a different. I think it's harder for the family, the wives and the kids. They got to go home to Minnesota and pack everything, and then ship everything to Washington and make the adjustment there. So I think it's definitely harder for the families than it is for the players.
Obviously, a lot of new faces there in D.C. and that bullpen that you're in. Sean Doolittle coming over at the trade deadline, Ryan Madsen coming over, those two guys together, and then you joining them as well. So plenty of introductions, I'm sure. We have another fan joining us now. Go ahead, tell us your name, where you're from, and ask your question.
Hi, I'm Jack from Kansas City, and I would like to know what your favorite baseball movie is.
For the love of the game, 100%.
Any particular reason that movie over all the other baseball classics?
I mean, I think they just get you emotionally involved into the movie. It feels like it's his ending of his career. And, you know, I feel like that's how I'm going to feel when it comes towards the end of my career. And you start thinking back how everything that got you to that moment, the whole stepping stone. And I think they played it off really well and what the emotional ride of being a big leaguer is.
Yeah, nobody makes baseball movies like Kevin Costner. Back to social media we go, and Bullpen Rat wants to know, what was your thoughts and feelings when you found out that you made your first Major League All-Star game this season?
Oh, that was an emotional day. I never thought in my life I'd be a Major League All-Star. I knew there was maybe a possibility, but I knew I didn't want to get my hopes too high, because if you get your hopes too high for something like that that's pretty astronomical to reach, you don't want to be let down. Long road. It was definitely a long journey to be able to be able to achieve that goal, and I feel like it was so far it's been one of the pinnacle parts of my career.
And every year there's always first-time All-Stars. A lot of times it's younger guys. It's so cool to see a guy like you get there a little bit later in your career, get to the All-Star game. I feel like the appreciation is huge. And we have another fan joining us now. Go ahead, tell us your name, where you're from. Ask your question for Brandon Kintzler.
I'm Joe from New York, and Brandon, my question is, as you were a kid, what sports did you play? Did you play every sport, or did you go play baseball?
Good question. I played multiple sports, a lot of basketball, obviously baseball. My big thing was racing BMX bikes. I started racing when I was 2, and I was a national champion when I was 6. I really thought that was going to be my thing. If I had known that was going to be an Olympic sport, I probably would have stayed with it. But I think it's good for all kids to play multiple sports. That way you learn how to move your bodies well, and you're not stuck in moving in one direction.
And it seems like we're heading back in the direction where more and more kids starting to play multiple sports. Really good to see. It's now time for our EDJ question of the day. And Brandon, today's question is, what does it mean to you to right now in late August to be in the middle of a pennant race with the Nationals?
Oh, it means a lot. Every time I had an opportunity with the Brewers, I either was hurt or we ended up not making the playoffs. 2011, I fractured my elbow, so I didn't get a chance to be in the playoffs. And 2014, we were in first place for 150 days and didn't make any of the playoffs. So the fact that I'm over here in it's not a shoe-in playoff team, but I think we have a really good chance of making the team. And I'm not getting any younger, and what we play for is that ring. So the fact that I have an opportunity to maybe get to the dance is, I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, and you're in a weird position this year in which you went from a team that's battling for a playoff spot to another team battling for a playoff spot, going from the Twins to the Nationals. The Twins still very alive in the American League wildcard race. Yeah, we have another fan ready to go here. Just tell us your name, where you're from, and ask your question for Brandon.
Hi, this is William. I'm from Virginia Beach, and I was just wondering, how and when did you decide to start pitching?
My first game I pitched, I was probably 8 years old, but I wasn't a full-time pitcher until college. I think at that point you got to start picking and choosing what's realistic in your career. I mean, I was 5'10" and probably 160 pounds at the time. I don't think being a shortstop was going to be reachable at the college level, but I was able to throw hard, and I think right around college is where I really devoted myself to the weight room and figured I wanted to be a pitcher.
Very cool. And Players Weekend is coming up this weekend. For people that don't know what that's all about, there's going to be some crazy uniforms, nicknames on the back of the jerseys. We got kind of a taste of it Sunday in the Little League Classic. That brings us to our next social question, which is from Walk-Off Hero. Wants to know, how much are you looking forward to Players Weekend and wearing those unique uniforms?
I mean, for me, it's just going to be another uniform. I think the minor leagues end up wearing a bunch of weird uniforms anyways. I chose not to put a nickname on the back. It's just something I really wasn't into, but obviously some guys are really into it, and it's going to be different. It's going to be a different feel for the game, seeing like really bright jerseys. We get so much routine of our games every day where it's nice to break it up a little bit.
Absolutely, and I know you didn't come up through the Padres organization, so you never had to wear the Chihuahua jersey, which always comes up as a favorite when we get those guys, the giant Chihuahua on the front. We have another fan joining us now. Go ahead, tell us your name, where you're from, and ask your question for Brandon.
Hi, my name's Leo, and I'm from Detroit, and I wanted to know who the toughest hitter that you've ever faced is.
Toughest hitter?
Yep.
So far it's been Carlos Beltran. He is like 4 for 4 off me. It's not that he's a tough hitter. He's just like, for some reason I can't figure out a way to get him out. I haven't faced him for about 3 years, so I think the luck's going to be on my side. But I faced a lot of good hitters, Joey Votto, but for some reason I got him out a lot. But right now, maybe I'll get to face Carlos Beltran today and put an end of it for this drought I'm in against him.
Yeah, in Houston, so we'll see how it goes tonight. Hopefully you get into the game, face Carlos. Back to social media we go. Twinkie89, and you mentioned a little bit about the path to the big leagues and getting to the All-Star game, but Twinkie89 wants to know, how would you sum up that path to the majors, including the fact that at one point you were pitching for the St. Paul Saints in independent ball?
It's just a grind. That's all you can say is a grind. The bus rides for independent ball, making no money and never knowing if there's ever going to be a light at the end of that tunnel. All you can say is you just grind it out. I didn't get to the big leagues till I was 26, which these days I feel like is old. Everyone gets in when they're like 21. Yeah, pitching for the St. Paul Saints or Winnipeg Goldeyes, you just got to sum it up as it's just a grind.
And that actually,
I'll do it all over again.
All right, and we got one more question from social media. Brandon, sliding into home, wants to know, what's your favorite road ballpark?
Ooh, I say it's all about Fenway right now. They have such a great energy. It doesn't matter what Monday, Tuesday, or a Saturday night. I mean, they sell out, and then there's not a lot of promotions. They just play music, and the crowd's always into it. So far, they're number 1. Number 2, I'd say Dodger Stadium, and then number 3, Pittsburgh. That's just a great stadium to play in. But Fenway, definitely. The energy in that stadium, I love playing there.
Awesome. Great stuff. Brandon, thanks for joining us. Good luck against Carlos Beltran tonight.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, that's going to do it for another edition of the Edward Jones Chatting Cage. Make sure you tune in again next time.